The traditional idea of retirement might be fading away for younger people today, and for many, it could be out of reach entirely. Nearly half of Gen Z and millennials worry they'll outlive their retirement savings, and almost 1 in 3 millennials don't believe they'll ever be able to fully retire. And it's not hard to see why people feel this way. Young people today are up against enormous financial pressures like the ever-increasing cost of living, inflation, an increasingly unaffordable housing market, and massive student loan debt. And with longer life expectancies than ever before, which is a good thing, but it does come with a catch, that they'll need far more money in their retirement funds to make it through their retirement years. In fact, some recent reports suggest that Gen Z and millennials may need an enormous $3 million to retire comfortably. But the majority are already far behind on these savings goals. In America, around 30% of people between 18 and 44 say they have no retirement savings whatsoever, and only about 30% have put more than 50 grand away. Looking at stats like these, it's no wonder why so many young people feel like retirement is just slipping out of reach for them. But how did we get here? And more importantly, what can you do to make sure that you don't become part of this statistic? So let's break it down. Back in the day, money was a lot more simple. If you wanted something, you had to save up for it. You'd put money aside week after week until you could finally afford that thing, whether it was a new TV, a car, or even a holiday. That built-in delay naturally encouraged discipline, and it forced people to think carefully about whether a purchase was really worth it. However, today with things like credit cards and Afterpay and easy-to-access loans, there's just far more options than ever before for people to spend money that they don't have on things they can't afford. These kinds of things give people flexibility and convenience, but they also make it way easier to overspend and get trapped in debt. Instead of feeling the pain of parting with your savings, you just swipe a card and you worry about it later. But that later can come with hefty interest rates if you're not careful. The psychological aspect is huge too. So when you're spending saved up cash, every dollar feels more valuable because you know how long it took you to earn it. But with credit, there's this illusion of abundance. And it's easy to disconnect from the reality that you're actually spending future earnings and you're not just tapping a piece of plastic. And this is why we see crazy stats like 1 in 7 Gen Zers in the US maxed out on their credit cards. It also explains why so many young people struggle with overspending, debt, and living paycheck to paycheck. The system we have almost encourages living beyond your means, and unless you consciously fight against that by building good money habits, it's a very slippery slope, and you can quickly find yourself drowning in interest charges. The crazy thing is, credit products are literally designed to keep people in debt. Credit card companies make their money from people carrying balances, not from people paying off their credit cards in full every month. The minimum payments are set low on purpose, so it feels manageable, but in reality, you end up paying much more due to high interest. In fact, the interest alone can often exceed the original price of what you bought. Using credit is essentially borrowing from your future self, and it hurts you greatly in the long run in terms of savings levels, credit score, and borrowing capacity to purchase investments like a property. If you want to avoid falling into the debt trap that's holding so many people back from retiring, here's the simple truth. It all starts with being intentional with your money. The first thing you can do is to stay clear of these buy now, pay later schemes and high interest credit options altogether. Instead, get into the habit of saving up for big purchases, just like people used to do before credit was so easy to access. When you budget and save, you're not just avoiding debt, you're actually setting yourself up for future financial success. But if you really do need to use credit, just make sure you pay off your balance in full every month, so you don't end up drowning in interest. By making these small changes now, you'll protect your credit score and financial flexibility, you'll boost your savings, and you'll put yourself on a solid path to a debt-free, financially secure future. That's a future where you actually get to retire when you want to. Another one of the biggest challenges young people face today is owning a home amid a housing crisis. Housing prices have skyrocketed and wages just haven't kept up with them, not even close. And that gap between home prices and earnings is making homeownership feel out of reach for a lot of people. So as a way to demonstrate this for you, in 1981 to 82, the median dwelling price across Australia was around $48,000, while the median after-tax household income was about $15,000. That's a price to income ratio of 3.2, which by today's standards sounds pretty affordable. Fast forward to 2024, where I can find the most recent stats, and that ratio was recorded to have blown out to 9.7 nationwide. According to the 2024 International Housing Affordability Report, that's considered impossibly unaffordable. So the price to income ratio has multiplied, which has made housing effectively 3 times more expensive over the past 45 years. And if you take just Sydney, where I live, the median price to income ratio hit 13.8 in 2024, making it the second least affordable city in the world, only after Hong Kong. And similar things are of course happening around the world. In the US, only 21% of American millennials believe their generation can afford a home. So what does this mean? It means you need a high income just to save for a deposit and afford the monthly mortgage repayments. For many people, saving that deposit feels out of reach, and even if they manage to scrape it together, the repayments might still be way out of budget. And in any country with a prudent banking system, that unaffordability means that the banks won't give you a loan in the first place. As a result, more people find themselves stuck in the rental cycle, often paying sky-high rents that make it even harder to save. So the longer you rent, the more distant home ownership can become, and the greater the risk of being a renter for life. These challenges have pushed the average age of first-time home buyers into the mid-30s in many countries like the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia, which is pretty much when many people are settling down with a partner and combining their finances. And that figure only reflects those who have actually been able to break into the market at all. This is a major issue for younger generations because home ownership has long been the foundation of financial security and a comfortable retirement. When you own a home outright, your housing costs drop significantly because they're limited to relatively small ongoing expenses like rates and insurance and maintenance. And you avoid having to pay rent, which is a massive ongoing expense, which is hard to sustain in retirement. It's just a massive drain on your retirement savings, and they might not go very far if you have to pay rent every year. Home ownership also offers a powerful retirement strategy. For most people, their home is their biggest asset by a mile. So we see that many older homeowners who have owned their home for many years, probably decades, and who have significant equity in the place, they choose to downsize to a smaller, more affordable home, and they use the remaining profits to top up their retirement savings. In this way, a home serves a dual purpose, so it provides you a place to live, but it also serves as an investment which steadily grows in value over time, which is eventually sold for retirement profits. So delaying home ownership can also mean postponing a great wealth building opportunity. But here's one thing, there are ways around the home ownership crisis. One solution is rent vesting. This is where you rent in a place where you want to live, but you invest in property somewhere else that's more affordable but has good growth potential. That way you can still get into the property market and start building equity while enjoying the lifestyle that you want. Another option is to create multiple income streams. So instead of relying solely on your salary, you can invest in stocks, start a side hustle, or look into passive income opportunities. This can help you grow your wealth in other ways, so when the time comes to buy a home, you're in a much better financial position to actually take that leap. Also, cutting back on unnecessary expenses and saving more can make a big difference too. Even small adjustments to your lifestyle can add up over time, and it can give you the financial freedom to make bigger moves when the opportunity to buy a home finally comes along. It might feel like the housing market is stacked against you, but by thinking outside the box a little bit and being smart with your money, you can still find ways to build wealth and set yourself up for long-term financial success. And this is whether or not you own your own home right away. It's not just the debt and the housing crisis that make retirement feel like an impossible dream for younger generations. It's also the simple reality that people today start building wealth much later than previous generations did. Older generations often started working straight out of school, if they finished school at all, and they landed stable jobs without needing a degree, and they married young, and they bought homes, and often they had their mortgages paid off well before retirement. In contrast to that, Gen Z and millennials are increasingly expected to go to university to be able to get a degree just to land a decent paying job these days. And most degrees take 3 to 5 years to finish, and even longer if you're studying part-time because you're having to juggle work and supporting yourself. So as a result, many people don't start their careers to earn a proper salary until their mid-20s, and they may not make decent money until they're into their 30s. On top of that, they often graduate with significant student debt, which then eats into their income and and it reduces their borrowing capacity. This delayed start to earning income naturally pushes back life's milestones further down the track. So you see today that people are typically not settling down and getting married until they're in their mid-30s, and it's not until about this point that people actually start thinking about buying a home or investing for the future. And that's because when they're young and they're just struggling to make ends meet and focus on the present, it's hard to be thinking about retirement that's decades away. The problem is, delaying wealth building puts younger generations at a massive disadvantage. Time and compound interest are powerful, and starting late means missing out on their benefits. For example, with a 7% annual return, your investments roughly double every 10 years. So if someone starts investing 10 years later than another person, the early starter could end up with double the net worth simply because they caught that first doubling cycle. And it doesn't stop there. Not only do younger people need to invest more just to catch up, but they also need to save and invest even more to fund a longer retirement because of rising life expectancies. And on top of this, there's also a difference in lifestyle priorities. While Gen Z and millennials are generally more financially aware due to the infinite online information and social media, many still choose to prioritize experiences over their financial future. So they want to travel and try different jobs and hobbies and explore life while they're young. And the worry about retirement often fades into the background. And honestly, that's just life. It's just a series of trade-offs. You probably won't build wealth as efficiently if you're focused on enjoying your youth instead of grinding through work, saving, and investing. But at the same time, you might regret not making the most of your younger years if you're too obsessed with financial security. The truth is, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There's a balance to be struck here. So the best time to start investing was 10 years ago, but the next best time is today. Even if you are living it up in your 20s, which is fair enough, you can still plant the seeds of your financial future. Start learning and implement small saving and investing habits, and let your money quietly work for you in the background. That way, you can enjoy life now and set yourself up for a better future. So those are the biggest challenges facing Gen Z and millennials when it comes to retiring comfortably. But what's the solution? How can you actually set yourself up for a secure and stress-free retirement? The good news is that there are simple, actionable steps that can be taken right now to get on track. So firstly, you need to educate yourself. Financial literacy is your foundation. You need to use YouTube, courses, and books to teach yourself about budgeting, investing, and debt management. The more you know, the better decisions that you will make. Secondly, you need to start saving and investing early. Time is your biggest asset. Thanks to compound interest, the earlier you start, the more your money can grow. So if you can aim to save at least 20% of your income for retirement, even if you have to start small and build up to that, that's a great thing. Thirdly, you need to invest smart and stay the course. So invest consistently, think long-term, and diversify your portfolio. Stay away from risky get-rich-quick schemes. Slow and steady wealth building wins the race. A couple of decades of disciplined investing can change your life. Fourthly, manage and minimize debt. High interest debt is a retirement killer. Prioritize paying it off and avoid unnecessary loans, and be cautious with credit cards. If you struggle to use them responsibly, just ditch them altogether. You also need to audit your expenses. Regularly review your spending and cut costs that don't add any real value to your life. Be intentional with your money and find cost-effective alternatives where you can. Every dollar you save is a dollar that can work for you in the future. Also plan for home ownership strategically. Even if buying a home feels out of reach right now, it's worth exploring. Research where you can afford to live, what deposit you'll need, and your borrowing capacity. Factor in future price growth and explore government incentives for first-time buyers. Owning property can be a powerful wealth-building tool for retirement, so make it part of your long-term plan if you can. At the end of the day, securing your retirement comes down to taking control of your financial future. It requires intention, knowledge, and consistent action. No one is going to build your future for you, so it's up to you to chase it down and make it happen. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. The earlier you begin, the more freedom and security you'll have later on. Well, that'll do me for today, guys. If you want to dive deeper into some other strategies other than buying your own home, you might want to check out this video all about rent vesting. It might be just what you need to start building wealth for your retirement without sacrificing your current lifestyle. And if you found this video helpful, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel so that you can see more videos like this. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.